What is going on, everybody? How's your day going? This is Source Material here. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite isekais, the Faraway Paladin. Now, isekai as a genre has been overdone in every sense of the word. It has some of the most repetitive plot in anime manga and entertainment as a whole. Someone gets reincarnated, and at the ripe old age of 12, they can either wield magic on par with some of the greatest wizards in their verse, or have master level swordsmanship, all the while being oblivious to how overpowered they truly are. It's an overdone and most of the time poorly written trope, and I wish I could tell you this manga is completely unique and groundbreaking, but it's really not. Well, not exactly. While the Faraway Paladin does heavily rely on the groundwork of a classic isekai, its views on religion, the divine, and self-awareness are what really makes it stand out to me. But enough of that. Without any further ado, the Faraway Paladin. Our story starts off with a child named William. He's just been recently reborn into a new magical world, to a family of the undead. His mother Mary's a mummy, his father Blood is a skeleton, and his grandfather Gus is a ghost. So you can already guess his upbringing was far from normal. From the moment William could talk, Gus taught him about math, art, literature, and most importantly, magic. From the moment he could walk, Blood taught him about swordsmanship and how to be a warrior. But most importantly, from the moment Will could understand love and faith, Mary taught him how to pray. Because in this world, the best defense against evil and those that go bump in the night is the divine protection of a guardian deity. And in this world, gods come in the boatload, ranging from your favorite elementals to gods of reincarnation. The gods provide protection, guidance, and sometimes powers to their devoted followers in their times of need, as long as their followers pray and believe in them. William was trained vigorously by his guardians up until the ripe old age of 12, where he was sent out into the world to find more humans and make his own destiny. With Graceful, the goddess of reincarnation and the flame at his side, was ready to take on whatever the world threw at him, and defeat it with alarming ease. Now, on our young hero's journey to greatness, he befriends an elf named Menno, a pair of wandering merchants named Bee and Chobuna. A huge warrior named Restov founded his own city-state in the middle of one of the most heavily monster-populated forests on the continent, subjugates said forest, and takes the Prince of the Dwarves as his squire, all the while killing things that makes his entire party question if he's actually human. Okay, so backstory aside, let's talk about why I'm making an entire YouTube video about this manga. One of the first things that struck me about this manga is the weapon choice of our protagonist. This was the first time I'd ever seen a protagonist, and an isekai protagonist at that, use a spear. And while the fight scenes were nothing too over the top, I was actually pretty hyped to see the main character use a spear as his primary weapon. And while William does own a sentient demon-possessed sword, he only uses it in cases of extreme emergencies, and heavily relies on the spear as his main form of attack. While this manga doesn't have the best combat, it's still refreshing not to see the normal double-handed hack and slash battles. Oh yeah, that also mentioned how much I love his shield. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the gods' blessings and how they're used. We've seen various characters use their blessings from the gods in different ways. Mary prays to provide bread for William with the help of Mother Mater. William heals the sick and injured and puts the undead to rest with Gravefield's stigmata, and the dwarves make powerful weapons and armor with the help of their god. All of them use their god's blessing in ways that amaze those around them and bring joy to those who need them. And there's Bishop Bagley, a man who on the outside seems to be worldly and able to use the god's blessing. Turns out to be one of the most devoted followers in the manga. He's a man who believes that the stigmata and blessings are revered gifts from God. They shouldn't be thrown around a man's whims, and those blessed by their gods shouldn't use their blessings for anything other than what their god wants them to do. In this world, while blessings from God provide powers beyond what most normal magic can produce, we don't see it used in overly flashy and exuberant ways. Because those who use these powers know that they don't come from their own abilities, they have promises and duties to their respective deities, and therefore cannot risk losing that blessing from their gods by doing things that go against their teachings. And that is more true for William. Being one of the only paladins of one of the most forgotten gods, he has a duty to spread his god's name and build her followers, all the while still being a hero. He must always be righteous and steadfast, not because he's some larger-than-life hero, but because that is what his god demands from him, and he'll do anything to uphold her name. And finally, the thing I like the most about this manga is the interaction between William and his team. While the members of William's team are all strong adventurers, they seem to have all come to the same conclusion, that William is a fucking monster. So much so, that you have to keep reminding him that he can take care of most of the monsters he fights on his own, but Big Team just looked a lot cooler. I mean, he basically took down a wyvern on his own in his first major battle, He folds high-class demons with ease, and at this point, the rest of his squad is just there for moral support. After an earlier point in the manga, he even considers going off on his own because his teammates are too weak in comparison to the monster he's fighting. And while they were fighting them, they were getting injured. William is fully aware about just how much stronger he is than the average person, and because of this, he's very cautious about the battles he picks, because while he might come out of it unscratched, most of the time his teammates come out on the brink of death. But over the course of this manga, William has learned to trust his team. He's realized that there are just some things he cannot do alone, and he has realized that even though they might be weaker than him, his companions can still hold their own. So that's why when William went to face the greatest evil in the land, the Dragon of the Rust Mountains, he didn't go alone. Staring down the jaws of death, his companions stood bravely at his side. Thank you for listening to me rant about the manga you're probably never going to read. I think I'll just stick to ranking videos from now on. As always, remember to like and subscribe. This is the source material, signing out.